What's up guys, Rachele Brooke Smith here. I am an actress, producer, speaker, and co-founder of Relationship Renegades. This video in particular is to share 10 things that I wish I knew when I was younger. Get your pen and paper ready. Share this with anyone you think might need to hear it. Definitely subscribe for more because I'm always wanting to share inspirational content. If you've seen any of the films that I've done or any of my previous videos, you know that one of my core missions in life is to inspire and entertain people and hopefully help them transform their lives in a really fun, creative way. So here we go. Number one, I wish I really understood that whatever you believe is what becomes real for you. So for example, if I really believe that something is possible, then it is. If I really believe that it's not, then it's not. So literally whatever you believe becomes real for you. So be really careful what you choose to believe, because ultimately it is a choice. Sometimes they're really difficult decisions, and sometimes it's really hard to continue to keep hoping and to keep momentum when you feel really discouraged. But man, there's been so many crazy things that have happened in my life. I mean, case in point, booking the lead role in Center Stage, the film that changed my life as a little girl, the whole reason why I started acting. If I didn't believe that that was possible, it would have never happened. Same thing with finding the love of my life. There were so many times I got so discouraged on my journey to find him, and people told me I was being too picky. People told me that I was crazy, like all different kinds of stuff that felt like knives to my stomach. But if I would have believed their limiting beliefs or their opinions, I would have never got to experience the kind of love that we have now. Beliefs are powerful. Be careful what you choose to believe, because whatever you choose to believe will become real for you. Number two, it's a big one, is that truth evolves, right? Some things that were really true for me not that long ago maybe are no longer true for me. Some things that I deeply, deeply believed when I was younger, things that literally I was like, no, this is true, I would die for this. Through learning and growing and evolving, those things that I so deeply believed are no longer true for me. So it's a really deep topic that I can do a whole other video on. I think that understanding also allows us a lot of compassion. We're very deeply wired to want other people to believe the same things that we believe. But when we can transcend that deep-rooted wiring within us that is in there because of an evolutionary standpoint. In tribes, if you didn't believe the same as everyone else, then you were cast out and you didn't survive. So literally we are deeply wired to want other people to believe the same things as us. However, we are so unique and different things work for different people. And another case in point with truth, right? Even science used to believe that fat was bad for you. They put out all this stuff claiming that fat was so bad for you. And guess what? Years and years later, we learned that fat is actually not bad for you, and that there's a lot of really healthy good fats that are extremely important and healthy for you. Also, what is true for one person doesn't necessarily mean it's true for another. Case in point, for some people, it's really great because the way that they're wired and their genetics to eat a very certain way. For other people, they need a very different kind of food, different kind of nutrition, because they're wired differently. And so really having this deep compassion for human nature and wanting everyone to believe the same, but also really understanding that it is our uniqueness that makes us great. Learning how to celebrate each other's differences and be like, wow, that's so awesome that's what works for you. You know, it's so crazy. This is what works for me, without any sort of intention of trying to change the other person, literally just sharing our experiences, sharing our truths, and that there is room for multiple truths to live and coexist in the same space without having to force or push or make someone be like you or believe the same thing as you. It's a big topic. I mean, literally I could talk forever on this topic. It is huge, and it's taken me a long time to understand. But if you have any questions about this, please leave them in the comments. I'll do a whole other video on this topic. Number three, you'll always win if you tell the truth. Man, this is so hard for me. Okay, so I grew up and I learned a really unhealthy pattern of telling these little white lies because I didn't want to hurt people. Right? So I grew up in a home where it wasn't safe to tell my father the truth. And so I learned this pattern that, like, oh, if I just hide the truth, if I hide what I actually did, what I'm actually feeling, then I won't get in trouble. And the really crappy part is that I took that into all my relationships, especially with men. And I learned this pattern, this habit of just like hiding truths, hiding little and telling little white lies, and then getting caught in webs of lies and ending up being like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Why did I just say that? Like, that's not the truth. But then I was too scared to tell them that I just lied. And it was this crazy downward spiral of really unhealthy, toxic situations that were really hard. And what was interesting about that, and this is a lot of what we talk about in Relationship Renegades, it took me a long time to find the root cause of that pattern. So I spent a lot of years not understanding why it was so hard for me to be honest. Like literally I'd want so badly to be honest, but like I couldn't. And it wasn't until I figured out the root cause of, me growing up in a home where it wasn't safe to tell my father the truth, that all of a sudden I was like, oh, I could reframe everything. I could tell a different story. Like these men were not my father, and I am no longer a little child that's scared of being punished. And if I keep telling these lies, it will end up in more and more pain and suffering and toxicity. And so now what used to be one of my greatest downfalls has become one of my biggest superpowers. And that's something I think for anyone out there to lean into and to get excited about. A lot of things that we really struggle through that for chapters of our life can cause a lot of suffering. If we lean in, if we learn, if we grow, if we heal from those things, they can become our greatest superpower. Because here's the thing, I have so much pain associated with not telling the truth that it is almost like a superpower now, because I know what that path leads to. I know the unhealthiness and the toxicity and the just bad situations that leads to, and the guilt and the shame and the just beating up on myself and not trusting myself and all that kind of stuff, right? So anytime I feel fear about not being fully honest, I'm like, I think about those situations, I'm like, oh, I have to be honest. Even when it's really hard, and there will always be difficult things to communicate. So having those superpowers, if you will, is really freaking powerful. Number 4, this one is all about communication. So for most of my life, I grew up in a space where I never really learned how to communicate from a place of my feelings. So I learned these patterns and habits from my parents, who I have the most amazing parents, by the way, but guess what? Parents are not, they don't get this handbook when they have children of like, here's everything to do right. No, we're all just humans. We're all just figuring it out. We all don't know what we don't know. But the cool thing is that we can learn and grow. And so what I have been able to learn is that one of the most powerful and effective way of communicating is never from a place of blame or from like, you did this, or I can't believe you did that to me, or any of that kind of language. One of the most powerful places to ever communicate from is simply how you're feeling, right? Taking off the blame, because nobody likes to be told that they did something wrong. Nobody likes to be blamed. And if you do that, the other person will immediately step into this big defense, some sort of like defensiveness. So taking that off, and you can pre-frame conversations and say, I just feel like I have to share something. If you're in a conflict with someone, I really feel like I need to share something with you. And I know this isn't about you. This is literally just about me, but I'm feeling a lot of fear right now. Feeling a lot of fear that maybe that you don't love me anymore, or that maybe you did this because of this, right? Like it's taking the blame off of them and saying, I'm feeling a lot of sadness. I'm feeling a lot of guilt, a lot of shame right now. And when you communicate from that place, the other person is like, oh, because a lot of people, they don't know, right? We don't know what's going on inside someone else's being. And so the more we can communicate what's actually going on from a place of vulnerability and authenticity, we can let people under the hood, so to speak, and let them know what's actually going on. From that place, you can have a lot better communication. All right, number 5. I wish I knew to let go of trying to fix and or save people. That's not your job. That's not anyone's job. All that I feel that I've learned, and take this or leave this, but I feel like it's such a healthier way that I found to live, and especially for us, for our relationship, for our community, for our clients, is to live in this space of simply being there to support, right? So a lot of times in relationships of all kinds, if something's going wrong or if someone has a bad day, we have this feeling of like, oh, let me fix it for you. Let me make it better for you. But when you do that, you rob the other person of so much, right? You rob the other person of building the confidence and the ability to understand that like they can do it themselves. Like there's so much that we gain in overcoming challenges. But what can be so helpful is to be able to say, hey, like if you know your friend's going through a hard time, or if you know that your boyfriend, your husband, your girlfriend, or boyfriend, whoever is going through a difficult time, like, hey, you can express to them, hey, I see you're going through a really difficult time right now. Is there anything I can do, or how can I best support you in this moment, right? How can I best support you in this moment? And a lot of times you might get an answer of like, oh man, you're doing it just by being here. As humans, we just want to feel safe, seen, heard, and loved. And if you can express that, if you can embody that, right, that I see you, I'm here to support you. I can ask you. I think I never really understood that I can ask people, like, how can I support you right now? And that they can let me know rather than guessing or assuming. Which actually leads me into the next one. Number 6, assumptions are killers. Assumptions are killers of relationships. We assume all the time. If you've ever heard of a book called The 4 Agreements, it's an amazing book, highly recommend it. Such a game changer, right? So in The 4 Agreements, it talks about assumptions, and make it a game for yourself. Catch yourself every time, like this week, go and like catch yourself every time that you assume anything, and just like let it go. Be like, oh, that's an assumption. Let me ask, let me get clear. Let me see if this is true or not true. Not from a place of like, did you do this? Or like, are you thinking this? But like, hey, just wanted to check in. I have this story in my head. You can use phrases like that to pre-frame conversations, and they are game changers. I need to do a whole video just on communication, like phrases and pre-framing. But you can say, hey, the story in my head, this is going on. Is that true? Or anything like that in your own words can be such a game changer when it comes to having way healthier relationships of all kinds, because assumptions happen all the time. Just do whatever you can. If you feel an assumption coming up, just be like, no, thank you. I don't want you. I don't need you, right? So it's huge, 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 huge. So number 7, we never are actually seeing things as they are. We are seeing things as we are. So perfect example of how our external world is completely and directly related to our internal world. So we travel a lot. We're actually digital nomads right now, and so we're constantly traveling from different places to different places. And I've been so aware of how I feel in different places. But what's been so interesting is that, man, you could be in the most beautiful place, but if you don't feel good inside, if you feel kind of like a lot of guilt or shame or sadness or just there's stuff going on, right? You don't feel good about who you are, what you're doing. That place will just kind of seem like bleh. Like it might seem, pretty for a while, but after a while, like you're still going to be you wherever you go. And literally as soon as you heal or like really tap into whatever's going on within you, and you can transmute that, transform that, transcend that, and you feel good about who you are, what you're doing, the actions you're taking, you feel in alignment with you, your values, your soul, all of a sudden you could be in the most mundane place, but everything seems awesome because you feel awesome inside. So just remember that everything is a direct reflection of your internal world. So if you want to change your life, go inside. 8, the place in which you live, the place in which you choose to live is just as important as choosing your life partner. So I'll say it again. The place in which you choose to live is just as important as choosing your life partner. Here's why. The place in which you live, your environment affects you in so many levels. It affects how you feel. It affects how inspired you feel. And again, going back to the point before, right? So much of where we are is affected by our inside, but also our outside affects our inside. Everything is so connected to everything. Like I've been in places where it just naturally, like I felt so much more creatively inspired. I felt inspired to go outside and move more. I felt inspired to try new things. There was other places that I have been in where I was just like, I don't really feel that at all. And so it's really understanding both of these two kind of coincide of, continually checking in and saying, what's going on in here? Is there something I need to heal within here so that I can get rid of any blocks that might be going on? Also, am I putting myself in environments, both like places as well as people that you surround yourself with? One of my favorite quotes is, if you look around yourself and the 5 people you hang out with the most don't support you, inspire you, motivate you, challenge you, all that kind of stuff, then you don't have a circle of friends, you have a cage. Number 9, which is to let go of outcomes I can't control and focus only on every time I take action, I win. Right? So I cannot control what happens. I can't control, if I share my truth, if I'm being honest or authentic, if I share that and then someone gets mad at me, but that's not up to me. The only thing that I'm focused on is like, did I take brave action? Literally, I say over and over and over again, just do the brave thing, just do the brave thing, just do the brave thing. And here's a really powerful trick. Anytime I work with a lot of people, a lot of our clients are also like entrepreneurs or creative entrepreneurs, artists, actors, that kind of stuff, singers, dancers, anyone who at any level has to put themselves out there a lot. And a lot of people, myself included, have suffered from something called creative wounds or creative insecurities. A lot of us, all we want to do is be seen, yet we are so scared to be seen. So it's this really interesting paradigm that a lot of us live in. And if you've ever found yourself really afraid of being seen or sharing your gifts, there's a really powerful process that I take a lot of our clients through. It's a guided meditation where you make it so real for yourself of like, what would life look like if I don't take action, if I don't share my gifts, if I don't allow myself to be seen, if I don't speak my truth? That life, you like 99% of the time, if not 100, will end up in a life of regret and sadness and misery and guilt and shame. If you make that so real for yourself, if you like feel it, taste it, touch it, experience it in a meditation, so much so that like I've done this with myself in the past, and I still, sometimes do a mini version of that to like reboot myself. It's emotional. It's really emotional. I'm like crying, like a lot of grief and sadness when I go down that path of what my life could look like. And then after you make that so real for yourself, you make the other life, a life where you do the brave thing, where you do share your gifts, where you do allow yourself to fully be seen. You go down that path and you experience what it will be like to have all the people that you're able to impact. So you have all the letters that people write to you saying how much you sharing your gift changed their life. You have all the experiences with family and friends and travel and wealth and health and anything what that might look like for you. And you make that life so real for you in your head. So much so that again, it becomes emotional. You feel so much like gratitude and confidence, and you feel so proud of yourself because you really feel like you lived it. But that brings me to number 10, which is imagination. Imagination is one of the greatest gifts that we have as humans. And one of my missions in life is to help everyone understand that you don't have to be an actor or a creative person to learn and understand that your imagination is one of the greatest superpowers you have, and that also you're imagining up stuff every single day. Literally, you're imagining things every day. A lot of times we are unconsciously imagining a future from a fear-based future, right? We're imagining things of like, oh man, like have you ever had an experience where you're like, you literally like maybe are scared to have a conversation, and in the shower you like literally have a whole conversation, or like you think of all these different things that could go wrong, right? That's imagination. Like you're already a super powerful imaginator, that's even a word, right? All we have to do is learn how to take that same skill set, that same tool, that same gift, and learn how to imagine things in a way that is like, what if things work out? What if everything is even better than I could have ever imagined? What if I share my gifts and everyone loves it and it helps people and it changes their life and it's able to make so much impact and income and I get to travel and I get to be with family and friends and I have all these healthy relationships and I feel on fire and I'm like just freaking love my life. Imagining up, taking all of that. Anytime you find yourself in this like imagination space of all the things that could go wrong, like do something, like clap your hands, like slap your face, like whatever you gotta do, have a physical action that like gets you out of it. And they say, whoa, 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 whoa. Let me imagine what could happen if things go right. And let me focus on that. Let me make it so real for myself. Because again, remember back to the beginning when I talked about whatever you choose to believe becomes real for you. So if you can choose to believe that things just always work out for you. I say that on a regular basis, by the way. I'm like, even when I'm stressed out, even when things don't seem to be going the way that I want them to, I'm just like, oh, I'm so grateful everything always works out for me. I'm so grateful everything always works out for me. And you know what? Somehow, some way, it does. But that's honestly because I choose to believe that. And again, a lot of these are really, really, really deep principles that could honestly be a whole video on its own. But I wanted to do this quick overview of things that have drastically shifted my life, a lot of my community's life, and a lot of our clients at Relationship Renegades in our private coaching, group coaching, as well as retreats that we do. And even just when I'm on a film set, I'm always sharing this stuff, and it seems to really help a lot of people. And I just wish that I learned this like in elementary, middle school, high school, whatever. Like I just wish I learned it younger. So putting this video out to help, hopefully help as many people as possible. So if this helps you, if you feel inspired, please share this with anyone you think might need to hear it. Literally just one of these understandings can be such a huge shift in someone's mental health, emotional health, well-being, all that kind of stuff. And always here to help, guys. I want to hear from you. Please leave any comments or questions in the comments. Subscribe for more, and please let me know what kind of content you want, because I always want to make content that actually is valuable for you. And please message us if you're interested in coaching with us. Again, we always are doing private coaching, as well as we're doing we have different rounds of group coaching and consistently coming up with new retreats for you guys. So and also have some really cool new films coming up for you as well next year. Legend of the White Dragon, Alien Country, and another one called Space Hunters. Some films I'm super, super stoked about. And just always want to be the embodiment of a creative entrepreneur, actor, filmmaker, producer who's creating films that inspire and empower people and help people transform their lives, while at the same time having a community, a support system that after you watch those movies, right, you can, or see a video like this, you have a community, a support system to go to that will, hopefully we can continue to help you dive deeper, learn this at a deeper level, and especially implement and embody. Because you can have a lot of wisdom, you can have a lot of understanding, but it's a whole other level to deeply embody and deeply like root it in your body, because we are so programmed. You know, we have years and years and years and years and years of past programming. And of course we have to have a lot of compassion for ourselves anytime we're learning anything new, because of course we can't expect ourselves to get it right away. And if we do have little mess ups here and there, that's just part of the journey. But the big thing is to always understand that, like, you can have a lot of advice thrown at you, you can read a lot of books, you can go to a lot of conferences, you can do a bunch of stuff, but the real work is the embodiment of that. It's the creating the habits, the patterns, the systems, the accountability, the support, so that you can actually implement and make some real changes in your life. And that's exactly what we love to help people do at Relationship Renegades. So hope this helped, guys. Sending so much love, and I will see you on the next one.